Preparation H?
Pain, itching?
Sure, try this.
Preparation
My
H?
nickname should be Preparation H because I really do. Look, I have a whole. I have notes here. You know?
Feeling better today? Thanks to you and Preparation H.
Back in form, Bill?
Thanks to you and Preparation H. He starts, it's all over, but we don't get mad, baby. The Hulkster just gets even. But I'll be in that ring and I'll be wrestling because I'm not a coward.
Jimmy Hart.
I'm gonna have Jimmy Hart! Jimmy Hart wants, Jimmy Hart gets, man.
Hey, it's me, the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Join me on July the 20th at the Plastic City Comic-Con in Leominster, Massachusetts. I'll be at the Hilton Doubletree. Doors open at 10 a.m. Come by, get a picture, get an autograph, say hello.
Plastic City Comic Con presents, in association with Mellow Fellow Trading, a second exclusive comic cover, with art by Dan Parent. Inspired by famous beach beauty Christy Brinkley, it's the beautiful Betty Cooper, in Archie Comics Betty and Veronica Summer Spectacular. This exclusive cover is available only at Plastic City Comic Con. Meet artist Dan Parent and pick up a copy of this exclusive cover, only at Plastic City Comic Con, Saturday, July 20th, 2024, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Doubletree by Hilton in Leominster, Massachusetts. Admission is just $10. Visit PlasticCityComicCon.com for early tickets and info.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I'm your host, Keith Gleason, creator of the Mighty Mascots and promoter for the Plastic City Comic-Con. With me, as always, Johnny C., creator of Sartana, Surrounded by Death, and The Pond. For who, Johnny?
My good cousin, Roger Morocco. Hope he's watching.
Absolutely. And our third co-host, Harry G., graphic artist extraordinaire. What's going on, guys? Sorry for the barrage of Plastic City promos.
No, that was a great
we're in Plastic City season, so it's appropriate.
How good is that Jimmy Hart one, though?
Awesome. Love it. Except for the Leominster. I love it.
Right.
Leominster, and then the way he says Massachusetts.
Well, he's like, I mean, it's hard to believe he's 80 years old. You know,
dude,
like,
right? He still got it.
I know, really.
Got the swagger, right? Like even in that promo, like I love it.
Still sounds the same. I'm sure in the background, in the back, he sounds like Barry White probably.
Yeah,
he's got a deep voice. You know.
Well, thanks for Amy for making all of those videos. Like they came out so awesome, right?
Very nice.
Like,
and you're getting the Jimmy Hart energy I thought you would be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that was a great choice that you picked him, and I can't wait to meet him again.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait to shake his hand for coming to the show, and it's gonna be awesome. So yeah, the little promos there, for all around.
Cool. Yep.
How you boys doing? Like, was the week off? Feels like we haven't talked in like forever.
Oh, for real.
But it was a nice week off.
It was much needed. Yeah. I actually have a pretty major update.
Oh yeah? What's that?
Yeah.
And then we'll bring our guests in.
So real quick, I won't take up too much time because I want to hear about Harry's week too.
Yeah.
But Harry's like, no, you don't. So my major announcement is that your boy is going to be on not one, but two panels at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, wow.
No shit. No kidding. Yep. Oh, so wait, what are these panels? That's awesome.
So here are the two panels. The first one is called Writing for Indie Comics. It's going to be on Friday, July 26th from 2 to 3 p.m. It's the Omni San Diego Hotel. So it's an off-site panel. San Diego Comic-Con spreads out throughout the whole city. So there's lots of different panels and things happening everywhere. So we'll be at the Omni Hotel right across from the venue. That's on Friday, July 26th of the show. And that panel is run by friend of the show, David Lucarelli.
Oh, nice. Oh, David invited you onto the panel?
He sure did. Well, so he put a call out for it. I responded, and I was lucky enough to be picked. So big shout out to David and for allowing me to be part of the cut.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, he's been on the show a couple times now.
Yep, he sure has. A real big fan of Tinseltown. I think it's an awesome book. So I'm going to be real excited to share that panel with him and a bunch of other awesome creators. The other panel I'm going to be on is on Sunday, July 28th from 2:30 to 3:30. It's in room 25 ABC in the convention hall itself, so you won't have to go too far. That's right upstairs from the exhibit hall, and that is the art of collaboration. So it's actually going to be moderated by my good friend Jeff Ryder.
Oh, okay, Jeff. Yep. He's been on the show too.
Yep, Jeff's been on the show as well, and it's going to be all about talking about collaboration. I feel like I have expertise in both fields, collaboration in comics, as well as writing for indies. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have some.
And whatever you don't know, you'll just make up.
Exactly. And that makes a good creator right there, people. Right. Being able to be quick and nimble and on the fly.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Harry, anything happening with you this last week?
Nothing. I haven't seen the light. I've been working all weekend doing like side projects. I was going to have a very relaxing.
You told me that on messaging.
Yeah,
you said you all of a sudden got hit with a lot of projects.
Everybody hit me up at once. Two people at work behind each other's backs they want to make birthday T-shirts for each other, but they don't know about it. Each one of them don't know about the other one, And it's like they said to me, "Hey Harry, you design T-shirts, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been known to." He's like, "Oh, can you do one of this guy Larry? It's a big black dude, African American guy, and they call him the dancing bear." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." He's like, "Can you draw him, maybe as a bear or something?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So I'll do that, And then Larry, the dancing bear, said, "Can you do one of this girl Ginger?" I'm like, "Sure." Her birthday's like next month. I'm like, "All right." So I did that over the weekend. My friend Bill, who I do freelance work with or for, he's like, "Harry, I have a new client. He wants to have a new cartoon, like a drawing, of a bedroom, like a cartoon bedroom with a speedboat, a motorcycle, and a sports car in bed together, tucked in the bed." And it says, "We keep and the tagline is, "We keep your toys safe at night." I'm like, I'm like, and I think it's an insurance company. I think it's like a upscale garage, that takes care of it. So I've been working on that over the weekend, So
that's actually interesting.
So I did. At least the work's flowing in,
Yeah.
I hope you can make some money on this stuff.
No, I'm making some money off that. So yeah.
Oh, good.
It's pretty, because that stuff's like creative. Like you can't find a bed with a boat, a motorcycle, and a sports car in it already. So you gotta like actually draw that. So I did that.
No,
first.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be T-shirts at the end when everything's all said and done.
I'm not sure what that one's going to be. I think it might be some kind of ad or something. But so yeah. But
still, it's great, man.
It's pretty involved.
That's great. Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe you'll start getting some graphic design work from this show.
That's why I do it, because hopefully these people will wear it. They bought shirts. I gave them the graphic at work, the birthday shirt graphics, and they ordered some from some website that they posted my artwork to. And then they'll get T-shirts and wear them at work, So I'm hoping people will wonder where those shirts came from, and maybe they'll maybe garner some side hustle,
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah, man.
That's the way it all works,
Yeah. How about you, Keith? Anything going on with you? Or
no, just been working like you guys, like doing. I got a couple lettering jobs on my table. I finished Jared's book Advent Dark this week.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's trying to get everything together and trying to get it for Plastic City, but I don't know if
is your soul intact.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, I zipped through it. I sent him everything, and then there was minimal changes. I fixed that. He paid me. I cut him a little deal because some of the pages were literally like one word balloon on the page, and it's like I didn't feel right charging him full price for that and stuff. But the book came out good, and I kind of emulated what he had done in previous issues. But I made the one thing I don't like about the lettering in the previous issues, and you guys you might agree with this, Johnny, because you've seen it, where sometimes the print is very small on some of the word balloons. So I made everything the same size. So
that's why I suggested he should go with you, Keith.
Did you really? Nice.
Yeah. So I phrased it, and Jared's obviously going to get the real deal right now, but I phrased it to him that like it's always good to have multiple people working on a comic, because this now, your one book now becomes a beacon with several people who are talking about, oh, this is what I'm working on. This is in my portfolio. You know, the more people involved, the more exposure the book gets.
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
Even peripheral exposure. I'm not talking about straight up marketing.
Yeah, right.
When you're doing everything by yourself, great as it may be that you save money that you wouldn't put towards lettering and all that other stuff, you now lack in people who have worked on it, networking, getting the word out on the project, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I get ahead of myself.
Yeah. No, but it's like, and I'm, I'm still continuing work on the 300-page graphic novel that I'm doing. Like I'm working on that. I'm on page 240 something, I think. And then the Soto brothers gave me another project, so I'm working on that too.
Cool.
So I got a lot going, and
busy
then I'm also
busy
Plastic
man.
City like crazy, and so yeah. So there's a lot going on. I'm always busy, So
yeah,
that's cool. It's
not a bad thing.
It's good to hear that we're all like getting like side business going. That's
yeah,
cool.
absolutely, man. I've gotten a lot. I've gotten a handful of jobs from this show. Just meeting creators and letting them know that, hey, I'm a letterer, and they come and take a look at my stuff, and you know. I also kind of played around with the SEO stuff on Google. So like when someone Google's looking for a letterer, I show up on at least the first page of the Google search engine. I'm like halfway down, I think,
cool.
So I played around with that. So I think a lot of people are finding me that way too, which is good.
Moving on up in the world.
Got to, man. Got to. And I'm thinking by the end of the year, I charge $10 a page, but by the end of the year, I might go up to 15 because like I feel like I'm kind of leveled up to like more of a professional level now, and I
think you can comfortably ask for that. I think
so too. So I may do that. 2025 starting. I'll bump my rate up a little bit.
You should mark it at 15, but if someone comes with you with a qualified and solid referral, you'll honor your old rate.
Yeah, or friends. I don't mind going the old rate as well, so.
Well, friends should never ask for a friend rate, but if a friend rate is received, that's always nice too.
Well, I know how tough indie comics are for people and, spending money to make stuff. So I would just insist on it if it's a friend, hey,
because you've sweated that sweat and you've bled that blood. That's why.
Exactly. So speaking of sweating that sweat and bleeding that blood, we got two creators coming onto the show tonight. One creator I've known for a long time, actually. He's like, in this area with us. We see him at a ton of Comic Cons. And I think he started out as a comic creator, but then now he's doing some of these really cool like propaganda posters that are really fun to look at. And then Vaughn Coleman, who's our second guest. You met him, Johnny, right? You know him from from Chicago. Is that the history there?
No, I met him actually at Terrificon.
Okay. So maybe I'll see him there this year if he goes to Terrificon.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I forgot. That's right. You're going to be at Terrificon this year.
Yeah. I got added last minute, so I can't wait. It'll be awesome.
So I usually like to spend some of Terrificon after the show at the fire pits that are kind of at where Earth Tower is, and coincidentally, Billy Tucci was having his like birthday party.
Oh, really?
Literally right next to us.
That's funny.
And there was this young kid that was kind of hanging around, and he was just such a go-getter, and really caught my attention in terms of like how knowledgeable he was and how eloquent he was when he spoke. And I was like, man, this kid's a real ace. And he's wanted to come on the show for a really long time. And we haven't had the opportunity to be able to connect. And finally we're able to make it work. Nice. So excited to have Vaughn on tonight.
Yeah, awesome. So without further ado, let's bring in tonight's two guests. I'm going to start with my friend here, Aaron Wood. Aaron, what's going on? Thanks for joining us.
How's it going tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good to have you on, Aaron.
I've been wanting to be on the show for a long time.
Yeah, I know.
We had to make that work
a couple times, and then now we finally got you on, which is good. And then our second guest here, Vaughn Coleman. What's going on?
Yeah, no, Johnny and I have met a bunch of times. I'm going to be at Terrificon again this year. That's probably my favorite con, man. It's so good. And we met
comic focused too.
That's what I love about it is that was the first time I really got steeped into like getting stuff signed. And I was like in heaven.
Are you from around here, Vaughn, or are you?
I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey.
So
Okay.
It was a little bit of a hike, but it's a hike I'm glad to take. Especially, I missed the 60th X-Men anniversary because I was at a different con that same weekend. But Claremont's back, so that's good. I get to hang out with him, which is going to be exciting.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, no, it was Johnny. I mean, the whole thing is I kept saying, yeah, man, like I definitely want to come on. And I kept like, come on, let me get this book underway, but you can't rush something. And finally it's at a place where I'm like, hey, I have a campaign. That guy who's, I should probably do that. And so, yeah, I'm launching my Kickstarter hopefully next week. It was going to be this week, but life happened. So I'm waiting.
I have a link for your Fund My Comics one. Is that one still active?
Yes. So Fund My Comic is going to remain as I don't want to say the primary platform because but it's like basically it's going to be start and end on Fund My Comic, but the Kickstarter will be running for 30 days just because look, most people don't know what Fund My Comic is, but I figured the people that really wanted to support me in particular, we're just going to go wherever I went. So they offered a lower platform fee. There was a lot of reasons. I know the guy who runs it. He's been super helpful. But also, I know that Kickstarter is the most well-known. I could put the Kickstarter in the sign up for the Kickstarter.
Yeah, put it in the private chat. We'll take a look at it later. And I definitely want to get into all that.
Yeah, I was going to say, some people only shop on one platform. It's not like their fault. It's just their preference. Yeah. So it's like, to not have it elsewhere is a little bit detrimental in terms of leaving it on the table. But, if it lives in one spot, but you can kind of pass it around and get it, all the revenue and eyes everywhere, then that works. That's good too,
Oh yeah, definitely. And before we get into our discussion, I'm just gonna zip through the chat real quick.
Yeah,
and,
let's do it.
We'll see who we got with us tonight. We got Ara joining us as always. What's up, Ara?
Patron saint of indie comics.
If you're an indie comic creator, Ara's probably bought from you. So
yes,
good man.
Ara, you're a saint.
He's a great guy. Let's see. We got my wife in the chat. She's saying,
"Hey, Amy."
Hi, Ara. Hey, Brandon from Dismay's with us. Hey, Brandon, what's up? Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Oh, Roland. He's like Plastic City Comic-Con again already.
It's that time of year.
It is that time of year. Scary Good with us saying Jimmy Hart classic.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ara said good old Leo Minister.
Yeah, that got me right here. I was like, come on, man. No one told you how to say Lemonster, like, poor guy.
He probably knows so many that it doesn't
I know.
Probably. But I like how he said Massachusetts. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Let's see. Which Amy said it's a mouthful for anyone not from here. That's true.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Look at this. Brandon saying one day I'll make it up to Plastic City. Enjoy one-day cons the most. Yeah, they are the best.
One-day cons. Let me just tell you, the best part about one-day cons is that there's only one day to shop. So you don't have those people that go, I'll be back tomorrow. It's either they're buying that day or they're not. And that's where you can get your most revenue per hour is at a one-day show. If it's well promoted and, everything else works well.
Usually, like if it's a good con, you'll make all that money. And if it was spread out in 3 days, you'd make that same amount. You're just there longer, and it's more of a...
I saw a really interesting social media post. I'm kind of spinning off on a tangent here, but it was somebody who I know who have seen at several shows throughout New England and even the Midwest who go, does anybody know about this show? They're doing marketing right. And the show was Brooklyn Comic-Con.
Really?
And it's funny. And his example was that people in the Midwest, as well as the Northeast, all had social media visibility of Brooklyn Comic-Con.
Really?
So it's interesting to see the marketing that they're putting into that show. I'm very curious. I know Tony James, who we know is going to be there. So I'll be very curious to see what he thinks about that show.
Yeah, I'd love to pick his brain after that to see what. Yeah, I know he's coming on sometime later in the summer, so we could probably ask him about that whole experience.
Yeah,
I'd love to find out how that show was because that looked pretty good on paper, like we were saying, Johnny. But I didn't get in, so
Right.
You didn't either, right? I don't think.
Nope. Yeah, I got the denial letter too. I hope it's for the reason that they wanted to get Brooklynites in more so than outsiders.
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
That being said, if you're going to market to the external, then include the external, I'd say, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A few more comments here, and then we'll get to our discussion. Roland said, convention exclusive covers. Looks like Keith has made it big. I wish. I mean, I think it's part of a little. I partner with somebody, so it's kind of a good experience. I hope it works out well. Because we don't make a ton on the show, so anytime we can make a little bit on something side like that, it'll be great.
Wait, we make money?
Right?
What?
$5 and a free hot dog from the snack bar.
Right.
I mean, living the dream.
Right. It's so true, Johnny. And then Roland said Worcester,
Massachusetts.
Worcester.
Amy said, "Oh my God, that's awesome, Johnny! 2 SDCC panels."
Thank you. I'm very lucky. I'm very
Is there
lucky
going
to
to be
have those
a bootleg
opportunities.
coverage of this, Johnny, or
No.
Be
there or be square opportunity, I guess.
Thank Brandon
you.
is also congratulating you, Johnny.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate that. Appreciate it.
Roland, San Diego Comic-Con is having citywide panels and events? ?
So almost citywide. So it's mainly downtown and the surrounding hotels. So panels will spill off into the Marriott, which is adjacent, the Hyatt, which is adjacent, Omni, which is across the street, and the Hilton Bayfront. There's been times where as far out as Harbor Island, there have been so I remember I used to stay in Harbor Island, which was about 3 miles out from the show. And they actually had one of the Bumblebee cars, the old, the old Camaro out front of our hotel. So it just went to go to show how far San Diego Comic-Con reaches in the city when it happens,
Yeah, there's stuff happening everywhere. It's kind of like when New York Comic-Con does the same thing to an extent.
A little bit. They pulled it in a little bit, but I mean, there are times where they'd have stuff like at Hammerstein Ballroom, which is a little bit uptown,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Ara is saying you should have a third panel, how to be an awesome person.
No, the panel should be how to be as genuine and awesome as Ara. Yeah. That's what the panel should be. I'll moderate it, but the real panel is that one.
Awesome. Amy said side hustle Harry. That must have been for a year.
That. We'll work on that.
And hey, it's Dr. Mask is with us. Hail Indie Comics Relay. Good to see you, buddy. Hopefully I see you in Terrificon. Let me see. Do we have anything else here? AI is killing the Google experience. Make the most of it while you can. That must have been when I talked about the SEO stuff. Two creators that are bleeding profusely. Vince McMahon voice. We were talking about that. That's great. And Amy said Aaron's been doing some cool stuff with tabletop gaming too, I think.
That would be cool to talk about.
That. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. I want to hear about that too.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit with our friend Jay Moores about spinning our stuff into tabletop gaming. It's
that's right. First year I'm not going to Terrificon in like 5 years. Oh, that sucks. You're not going to be there.
That's a bummer, man. You'll be at Plastic City, I hope.
Yeah, hopefully you'll be at Plastic City. Hey, our buddy JD's with us tonight.
What up, JD?
Everybody? What's going on,
Good to see you, man.
Roland said Claremont's been back like 7 different times over the past 20 years. Hey, Tony James is in the chat. Hey, Tony, we're just talking about you, buddy. DS Cartoons is with us. Greetings. I'm running out of I don't know what he's saying there. Different ways of saying hello. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
And then Dr. Mass said I'd like to go to an ARA panel too. And
hells yeah.
With
Dr.
cosplay.
Mass said I'll be at Plastic City, my must go to show. Oh, awesome. At least hopefully I get to see at least for a second there on that day. I'll be all over the place, so. But all right, we got through the chat, so that's awesome. A lot of people watching us tonight, which is great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, thank you guys for staying in with us and helping us build the channel. We love that. First question we usually always ask our guests, and I'll start with whoever wants to go first. We always want to know how a creator got into making comics and how they made did they read did you guys read a comic in the past or see a movie or a TV show, something that inspired you to want to be in this field? Is there anything you guys can point to that kind of set you on this journey?
Show us on pop culture where it touched you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Vaughn. You start us off. I want to hear what the new.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
All right. So, I got into it initially discovering superheroes through other mediums. So I initially watched like the Justice League animated series, and then Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, which it was perfect timing that came back into theaters the week I was launching. Like that I had delays and it led to that week. Because I'm about to launch, I rewatched. I'm like, yes, that's it. That was my inspiration. The X-Men movies. And I would keep going. And then I remember when I was in 6th grade, I was moving to a new school, and I come back and they're doing reruns of the animated series from episode 1 on Leather Wings. And so I would make it a routine to come back and watch that. And I was like, I want more. And then Arkham City comes out that fall, and I play that, and I'm like, all right, I want more Batman. So that Christmas, I look up best Batman comics, and I decide on Batman Hush.
Oh,
and
nice.
I've been a comic fan since. So,
nice.
But what really, but I was always a film guy first.
Okay.
And what happened was, I do a lot of film making stuff, and then I remember getting to a point where, I was at film school, and every time I came with this idea in 2nd grade that would become Phenomenova. It was a different name at the time, different hero. I thought when I was in 2nd grade, I was a genius for coming up with a character named Lightning Lad. I thought that was a brilliant original idea. And I was so heartbroken when I discovered this thing called Legion of Superheroes. I was like, who are these guys? They're nobody. Turns out apparently in the 80s and whatever, that they were a big deal. But my whole life, they were like, when have they had a run? I don't know in my lifetime, but
they go back
maybe
to
they
the
have
Silver Age. Like
that's what I mean.
They first appeared in was Superboy. It was a Superboy or Superman, and back in like the 50s. Like so they've been around forever.
Yeah, I know. So I'm like, man, someone beat me to the punch 40 something years before I was born. Anyway, yeah.
Well, it could be worse. You could have invented Bouncing Boy. He's probably the worst Legion of Superheroes character of all
Rope
time.
Man.
I love this part of the show. I love this part of the show where we have people talking about like kind of their origins and how they get started. Just because then you always find parallels, right? Mm-hmm. Like the way we found a parallel with George O'Connor having the web series and you having a web series, and I did one too. And I was thinking about Vaughn talking about Raimi's Spider-Man. Well, Raimi's Spider-Man is his generation's version of my generation's Keaton's Batman, right? He was very interested in film. I remember me kind of being bitten by film first, and then finding my creativity to comics after. And I think a lot of people find that kind of passageway, that segue, right? So many parallels, and I think a lot of us kind of go through these same steps, but in different ways across different generations.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And how about you, Aaron? What was your gateway? I don't think I know this.
Well, I was born at a very early age. And my mom gave me a box of her comics from, a bunch of Silver Age stuff, a bunch of a little more modern stuff, from the 60s and 70s. And I inherited that. So I grew up reading books, and I stupidly went to the spinner rack and picked out like Shogun Warriors, Micronauts, right when the good X-Men runs were going on or whatever. I'm grabbing the books X-Men that I'm looking at like, this is great, So, I grew up in the 70s. I got all that stuff. And then I got to the point where I'm like, I want to do a comic of my own. So I got in, with a couple local guys, and we put out our first comic in 2003, and it was great. So yeah, it was just all that pop culture and inheriting those books just kind of rolled into one. And then here we are.
And that's when I met you too, around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you were a comic creator at the time, and then you kind of reinvented yourself, and
last year was 20 years.
Oh my God, isn't that crazy? I can't believe it's been that long. And that was like the first time I met you. I met like Mattman and Brian, and there's a handful of other people that are still around doing it.
The Johnny Raygun guys are still around. Rich Woodall is still around.
Rich has been around forever, and he's finally getting into the industry now.
We started, I think, at the same show. It was like one of the Radisson shows in Boston.
Oh God! Run by that guy
Monkey
that was
House.
like Yes,
Monkey House.
Yeah.
that guy was
Monkey
like a crack,
House.
like he was like a cokehead or something. He was always high strung. I remember
God.
that.
Some of my
Yeah,
very
but-
first Comic Cons were Monkey House shows.
Yeah, they
Yep.
were like
That's
every
crazy.
other month.
I bought Preacher #1 at a
Did
Monkey
you?
House show. Yeah. Oh man.
Mm.
Wow.
I
But yeah,
used
that's
to
my
love
start.
those shows. I would go, you know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go every one that they had, but I probably went to every other one, you know.
Yeah.
The secret to that show was to park on the roof and then go in through the service exit, and then that's how you go in the back way to the show. And then if they yell at you, go, "Oh no, I stepped outside for a cigarette."
We used to make a whole
We
day
just
of
go
it.
right
We'd
into the
go,
show.
we'd take the T, and then on the way back, we'd stop at Harvard Square and go through there. And we used to make like a whole day of it, you know, because Harvard Square used to have like that awesome anime store. So we used to stop in there, and you know, and they had was it Millionaire Picnic, that store there that was really good.
Millionaire Picnic's so cool.
Yeah. Loved digging through all the local stuff there, you know. So that was great.
Yeah.
Haven't been back in a long time, but I'd love to maybe go down there and visit those stores again, see if they're still around and see what's up, you know. But
I just remembered I owe a lot to like the Tick. And the Turtles. The Tick and the Turtles, because those two, you know, 2003, 2002, we had worked on the comic for about 10 years before. Like, we're talking, you know, I met my buddy Tom in 95, I think. Like 2000, 95, 99. And we started working on the book. And then the Tick and the Turtles were both kind of like huge then. So we're like, oh, you know, we want, you know, local New England guys, we want to make our own comic in the same vein, you know? And we were dumb.
I love the inspiration now. I love that you drew inspiration from your local creative peers. You know what I mean?
Funny quick aside. So I'm in Western Mass. Turtles are in Western Mass. We went searching for Mirage Studios, which is about 20 minutes from where I live. And this is, you know, early 2000s, mid 2000s. Nobody in town would tell us where they were because Peter and Kevin told everybody, don't say where we are because we're huge. We eventually tracked him down. We literally walked into the studio, and I forgot, neither of them were there. It was 3 other guys. I forget who it was. And they looked up at us and we go, here's our comic. You know, we had like the pages, the blue lines, and dumbasses. So dumb, you know. We're like, I'm in my like mid 20s. Tom's like 5 years younger than me. I got other buddy John with us, and we're like, yeah, it was funny. Tracking down.
Did you face any consequences?
No, there were no consequences. And in fact, like 3 years later, I tabled right next to Peter. Like literally, my table was here. Peter was here at a Manchester show. And he remembered who we were from a Philly show. He asked us if we had issue 3. He was a great guy, you know. I'm not talking like he's dead, but yeah, I finally got to like table next to this guy and be like,
well, I heard Peter's not doing well from the last report I heard.
Man.
I heard he's one of those, like they don't. He sort of shows up at shows whenever he can, but he can't sign for very long, from what I heard. He's got Parkinson's or something, or
give that man all the money. Keep rebooting the Turtles every 5 years.
Yeah, seriously.
Keep rebooting it. Keep it going. Do the indie stuff. Do the Last Ronin stuff. Make movies for the kids. Make comics for the in between.
Yeah,
just keep that franchise rolling.
I'm excited about it again because they're relaunching a new #1 with like Jason Aaron writing, which is
that should be kind of
cool. It should be interesting, right? Like, I can't wait to see what he does with that franchise.
So another parallel I'd like to point out, and I think I'm going to try to keep my eyes open for when I see these things, but Aaron's story of just kind of brazenly walking into the offices is not unlike you walking into Kevin Smith's offices when you were in New Jersey.
Again, I did that too.
Another parallel.
Oh, really?
What about us indie creators where we're so headstrong and brazen that we can just march right up to the people we inspire us and go, here's my work. Check me out. Like, wow, I love that.
It's a mix of brazenness and stupidity. You know, it's like we don't know the fear yet. We don't know the fear, so it's like, we haven't.
And we don't know the rules, like the rules of like engagement. You know, so you're just kind of like, I want to give you this awesome thing, and that's how we look at it,
Vaughn, do you have any
young
stories of like
stupid,
walking up to your favorite creators at a show and just like gush it, fanboying all over them and being
Of course.
like, "Here's
Yeah.
my work."
Yeah.
Oh, my work? Well, that's why
Yeah.
you think I've been so perfectionist about getting it right, but I hit a certain point where I'm like, I need to get it out at a certain point.
Yeah.
But so I handed my card to Jeff Johns. Like, this is what you should be doing. Like, this is good. But I did hand my card to Jeff Johns. So he was super cool about it. He's like, good for you,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
when
awesome.
I met Vaughn, he was holding court with a bunch of people alongside Billy Tucci. So
well, we met at the burger place, and then I was like, oh, Billy will meet us there. And then he runs what I call 2-sheet time, which means if you're gonna meet somewhere, add 90 minutes. And I'll be there. He's like, oh, we're here right after dinner. So Johnny and I'm sitting there eating a burger alone, and then I see all these other guys. And here's the thing, you guys know this. When you're at a comic convention, you're like, that's one of you. If there's ever a local restaurant, you stick out. Like I'm like, that guy's got a Punisher shirt. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, what's going on? You guys want to hang out? Billy said we're hanging out for cigars. So then I'm like, oh man, like they're really embarrassing me, Billy. Why aren't you showing up, man? They think I'm like bullshitting that I'm friends with you. And then, I know you didn't think that, but I'm like,
no,
and then
he was holding court. He was like, "Hey, Billy, what's up?" Like they're all longtime friends.
And that's the thing. I met him not knowing who he was. He was just a nice guy. I think I had seen like Art of She on Kickstarter or something. I didn't know this was a big franchise in the 90s, that he was a big name. I was just walking by his table talking to him. And then Billy and I are friends to the point where if you watch my trailer, the first quote is a Billy Tucci quote. Like, so he has been a big help to me in my career. And then like, I would get lucky a few times, man. Like there were honestly, and I will say this, one of the best ways to make connections, because people are like, oh, you got to just sit down and do the work. And that's true. And there are times where I'm actually mad. I'm like, dude, why am I just doing live streams promoting? It's like, because people need to know about it. So when I do the work, because a lot of creators skip that step. They really do. Like the reason my book made 12K. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was to say you bring up a good point about how the things have changed. You being creative and making the book is just not enough anymore. Like I started the show with Johnny for that very reason, to like kind of promote our stuff and then like talk to other creators and build our networking across outside of just the New England area.
Especially in the void of COVID, where we didn't know what was going to happen on the other side of things. Like who knows what it was going to be like. So we were all kind of just migrating to the online platform to try to reconnect with our comic people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting. That's, I think, when I really started getting into comics. But I honestly, one of the best ways, and it sounds stupid, but I've literally gotten jobs, like connections that led to jobs through hanging out with people at bars. Like that's you can have all the talent in the world, but I'm telling you, man, like, because for example, I've made 12K on my comic now, let me make this clear to people in the audience. Raise that crowdfunding money. Like, oh, you made that much. Like, no, I didn't. I promise you the person did not make, they raised that much. But anyway.
Yeah. Lucky you can slice off $100 of that. At the end.
Didn't he call me out? Just did like this campaign Fantasima, and he was on my show. He's like, yeah, we barely made anything on that. I'm like, if you made, I'm like, oh, okay.
You're not supposed to make anything. It's supposed to be for production for the book.
That's,
a lot of people,
I think a lot of people abuse the crowdfunding model. I personally feel abuse the hell out of it. Like my comics. So what I'm doing with the variant covers, because I was like, variant covers is stupid. And then as I'm creating, I'm like, oh, I do want to work with that creator though.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I doing? I've become what I. So my solution was, my main cover is $20. My variant covers are $25, and they're limited to crowdfunding campaigns. So once those are over, all right, you can get the main cover as much as you want. And everyone
makes the campaign special. Makes the campaign
and even
special.
Then the backers get it before I'll make a website. You realize how much there is, because I was always like, why doesn't everyone just self-publish? And then you're like, okay. I was like, well, you could just write the book. You hire an artist. Why does everyone do? Oh, well, no, you have to promote it. You have to create the website. You have to create, oh, what's the production logo look like? Oh, you don't have a logo? Oh, you idiot. You got to hire an artist. That costs money.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have a company? You got to pay to make it. Oh, you don't know how the legal system works? Got to study up. Oh, you don't want to study up? All right, hire someone who knows. That costs money. And you're like, okay, I get why people just walk in and are like, dude, I don't even need to own anything. Just let me draw. Like, I get it now. I don't draw, but like, that being said, I'm glad I learned all of this. You know, I really am. And it's been amazing, all the connections I've made. And I'm only just beginning. And my whole thing was like, I would refuse to hire. I had an artist that was like ready to go for like months. And I'm like, I got to rewrite that. And it was like, because it felt like my script wasn't fully crystallized and it needed to be worthy of his art. Finally, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And also, if my first issue is my best issue, then that is a problem. That being said, I'm going to do the best first issue I could possibly do that I'm able to do at this time. And that's that. But awesome, networking is everything. You know, now people know who I am. Leaving the house is important. I know there are days where you don't want to, but how even hanging out with people at bars, we're like at Free Comic Book Day, I'm talking with someone. Would you be shocked? Billy Tucci. And then someone I go, oh, I have a comic. Goes, what is it? This guy who I've never seen before just takes my card. He goes, all right, I'll buy it now. Buys it in the store. Like, you never know. Like, leaving the house, you never know. Someone I talked to in a bar in Florida with my mom years ago is now like, hey, I want you on my podcast. Also, I backed your book. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You honestly, never know.
Like, I say you should, you know, you got to have a presence online. You should also have a presence at conventions, wherever, you know.
The way I've always put it is you never know who you will share an elevator with.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The reason why I say that is one of my first years in San Diego, in our hotel, as we were coming down from our hotel room, we shared an elevator with a couple of business suit looking people. And they didn't give us full detail, but they go, oh, you guys going to Comic-Con? Oh, okay. Are you going to Hall H to see this? Oh, you are? Okay. Well, make sure you stick around for this. And sure enough, they clued us in. They were Disney executives. They told us to be at the Tron panel because they were recording our voices, our audience participation, to be dubbed into the movie itself. So when you hear the audience reaction in Tron, that's us in Hall H that day reacting and giving them ADR.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll leave left, Johnny. That's why you also don't eat beans before you go into an elevator.
You'll never know who you share an elevator.
Right. Just don't know. You gotta be careful.
Yeah, I agree with Vaughn though. Like, networking is everything. You know, I've been doing shows for 20 years, and it's like, if you just be nice to everybody, network with people. And some people, you might give your card to them and they might be like, sure, I'll call it. They're never going to. But every 1 or 2 out of 10 might get you somewhere. And you never know. You never know 10 years from now who's going to call you up and be like, oh, you know, Keith, I need you to letter my comic. You know, I heard you've been doing a lot of lettering. I met you at a show like 10 years ago. You know, gave me your card. These things
I'm now an executive for a film industry for a film company.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Like, I always try to be like a positive creator at these shows, because you never know who you're going to run into. And
even if you're an introvert, you can't really be an introvert in this business.
No,
you know what I mean? You got to like.
But even like a crappy show, I always try to make like the best of it, and it's very hard because you're like. The whole situation looks sad, but you just try to be like upbeat.
Well, that first Monkey House show we did, there were like 15 creators in the hall we were in, and it's me, who's super extroverted, my buddy Tom, who's kind of neutral. He just wants to sit there and write. I was the artist, and my buddy John was just like doing his own thing. But I looked at all the other tables, and people would come up to a table and, artists would be like this, head down, drawn, wouldn't even engage. So we ended up selling, this isn't anything, but we ended up selling 7 or 8 books at our first show we did. Nobody else in the hall sold like anything. Like, I watched everybody, and there were maybe 2 or 3 other creators that sold a couple things. But if you don't engage, and here's the thing, a lot of artists and creatives are introverts. Find somebody who can be your pitch man. Bring your girlfriend. Bring your girlfriend, bring your wife, bring your husband, bring whatever. If they can talk for you, it helps a ton. You know,
Yeah,
get somebody who
absolutely.
can engage. Yeah,
You need the Flava Flav to the Chuck D.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need your hype man.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Or you need a Jimmy Hart, where
Who has a better
yeah.
voice in rap than Chuck D, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
right.
Who
So
can sing? I mean, he's like. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, when a wrestler is a good performer but not good on the mic, what do? But they give them a mouthpiece, like a Jimmy Hart. So if you're really talented but maybe you're very shy, you know hire that mouthpiece. Luckily, our guests tonight are both very outgoing. Aaron and Vaughn, you have no problem getting anything out of them, which is great. And that's a very good quality to have when you're trying to promote yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. We got a couple of good comments here too. I tend to be more work focused. I'm trying to promote my comics online when I can. Yeah, smart. Like you just got to get out there. You got to fight that urge to like hide. You know, you just gotta tell people about what you're working on, or no one cares. You know, like that's their sad reality. Hail nerds, freaks, and geeks, creators outlet. Thanks for joining us.
What's going on? I've been on his show. Yeah,
awesome.
Been on,
I have too. He's a nice guy. It's like when people flex about net worths. It's actually just an arbitrarily value assigned to their assets. Yeah.
They're worth that much because they have a house that's worth 3/4 of that much.
Tony says writing is important. Artists love a concrete vision.
Real quick on that statement, not only just the concrete vision, but knowing that they'll have consistent, steady work for a full project and not do like an issue 1 and then never see 2, 3, or 4. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
How many of us know somebody that's done like one issue and he's
I'm that
guy.
I'm already starting issue 2, baby.
Yeah, there we go.
I told my artist,
issues.
I'm like, we're rolling right into issue 2, like, because I don't want to lose the momentum. It's rare enough for a creator like me that anyone cares about what I'm doing at all. You know, I've never published anything, so I'm like, all right, right in issue 2. Let's get them like
keep it going.
It's gonna help you in the long run.
I used to have that, like, got to get it out right away and do whatever. Now I'm so reserved. I feel like Quentin Tarantino, not to grandize myself, but I feel like Quentin in the sense that I want to put out limited content and know that whatever I put out going forward is going to be ace. I'm going to be happy with it. You know what I mean?
See, man, what drove me to comics, because I now have like almost like a film brain and a comic brain. I've been treating my comic brain more, but I do have that. It's like almost different. It's because I came up with it initially as a film idea, which is why the main character looks like me. It was because I was going to star in it. And then it just kind of stuck. But
I was going to ask you about that, actually. The main character does look like you, actually.
Total coincidence. Total. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
His haircut is completely different from me. No.
Yes, there's I know quite a lot of people who only did one issue of their comics and never started issue 2. Yeah, I mean, we see it all the time. Yeah.
I've written 8. I'm rewriting 3. Revising 2 a little bit, but I'm halfway through rewriting 3, which I wanted to keep doing, and then now I'm like, oh, I gotta promote again for Kickstarter. I'm like, what am I complaining about? All right, this is gonna give me the money to work on it. I mean, I'm still gonna complain, but like, you know,
but you got the money to back up the complaints now.
Yeah, right.
So at least I could be like, oh my god, but because my goal, I want to do like so I'm doing a 64, well, it's actually 65 pages story, 68-page book total for issue 1, like a giant size one, and then I'm gonna do like 24 pages. I want to do 2 24 pages for my second campaign, but we're gonna have to see if that's feasible, which means I need to stop whining and just do, you know what I mean? I can't even have issue 3 drawn yet. By the time it's drawn, I'll be able to have the script. And I haven't even finished production on 1 yet. But anyway, plus I have the outline for it. I've written an earlier version. Anyway, I know where 1 through 8 are going. But Claremont's run is what made me, for some reason, I just felt the urge to read X-Men and start reading comics again when I was in college. And so I did. And I started going, man, I have to neuter every single one of my ideas for a big action story and everything because, you have a student, but best we could do is give you like a house and 3 people and a crew you could barely pay. And I was like, this is going to be my life. And I'm learning the ins and outs in the industry. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against film. Like, I still want to do film, but I'm like, if I want to do what I want to do, the studio is going to own me. I'm going to have to, like, every idea get messed up. And what Claremont was able to do is idea after idea. Or I went back and I was like, because I love the Raimi movies, I love the animated shows, and I was like, let me go back and read the comics. And Stan Lee and Steve Ditko were able to just villain, and just iconic character. And I was like, I want to do that. Like, I want to. What are those big superhero ideas? Because initially, at one point, it was like a movie series, and then it was like an animated series, and then I started converting the script into a comic script, and that's when I actually really started to fall in love with the medium. Is because I was like, oh, that doesn't really work as a comic, but I was like, but comics can do this that film can't, and so appreciate my love as I transferred it. Yeah, my love for the mediums. And even though I ended up scrapping that film and then just rewriting it again, it was just the direct contrast of I can do this in one, can't do this in the other, made me love both mediums. So I'd start taking the comics on my shelf and going, so that's how they conveyed all that in for me. Because I was like, 5 panels, that's like 5 frames. And then I'm like, no, only if I look at it that way. And I'd be like, oh my God, look at how much information they could just do in these few images with all the, like, wow, like voiceovers they do better in comics than in film. Yeah. And I started going, well, why did they change this scene in a
you very also accurate... control like the pacing of the reader the way you do the comic too, you know, like and like whereas film you don't really, I don't think you kind of have that control of film too, but comic books are just a more unique experience, I think, you know.
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of funny because I see a lot of other creatives trying to kind of steer away from the grandiose arcs these days of, you know, I have this vision, I want to do like, you know, like an Invincible, it's like 65 volumes, you know, that's gonna a lot of people are trying to get back to that villain, you know, like Electro showing up in this, you know, Dr. Octopus showing up in this one, you got 5 different issues, 5 different villains, 5 different storylines. And then as time went in, maybe you get a little bit, you know, like the last panel is your what's happening kind of thing. It's going to carry over kind of thing, you know, and a lot more episodic than
I should have done that. I should have done that because I acknowledge that's probably better from a business decision. But
it is. You don't.
But as I was writing the story, I was like, I like where it's flowing.
It's a balance between creative integrity and business decisions.
Yeah,
and that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah,
it's like
I have ideas for self-contained issues later on, but I was like, let me get this story out of the way so I can lay the groundwork so now I can do these things because I've set up this.
So to Vaughn's earlier point of kind of having creative control, and if you work with a publisher or if you work with a studio, it's like you're dancing their dance, they're playing their game, and you have to put in XYZ and make sure you mention the product, like, you know, the GE's launching this, so you make sure you have the refrigerator in the back. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much nonsense that just gets in the way of the creative flow and process that you have to layer into these things because there's a lot of money at stake versus just putting out something that's straight from the heart that you love. That you. Oh no, we lost Keith.
We lost Keith. There's stores in Mass I don't know about.
You're the adult. You're the one in charge now.
Oh, great.
Oh, no.
We're in bad shape now. Now we're...
That or I just bored Keith to death and he just hit the keyboard.
And
went down.
Amy's like, cut it. Cut the feed.
Cut the feed.
We're losing everybody.
We have to resuscitate him. But the point I was making is that there's just such creative freedom and liberty. Keith, you're alive. Thank God. Thank God.
Worried about you.
I was very scared because I can't do this alone.
Oh man.
But I was just saying there's such liberty and creative freedom in putting out your own work where you know you're not having to kowtow to the business decision, quote unquote, and or at least minimally, you know, it's on your own terms.
I heard somebody use that word today, kowtow, as kowtow.
Kowtow, toe in the cow.
Yeah, tiptoe and cow.
Which way is it? You know, and like if you're Vaughn, you're from New Jersey, so is it inline or online? You know, it's so like somebody
inline.
You never heard of inline?
Why would it be inline?
You never heard of inline? Like I'm waiting in line to go to wherever.
Right, you're waiting in line.
Right.
I thought you were talking about internet as in.
No.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Like if you're waiting in a line or online
I'm
to
in
go
line.
meet.
Yeah, I've heard
you're
both.
in line.
Okay.
You never been online? I think in New Jersey,
No,
New York, it's like an online. It's like too many like
people,
weird.
A lot
like,
of people from outside of New Jersey tell me what I say in New Jersey, and I'm like, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've heard both. I've heard I'm in line. I'm online. I've heard both.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like, where
yeah. Coin, I guess, ask me sometime when I'm not thinking about it, and I guess whatever I say is you could say. I don't know. Yeah, I'm online for the. Yeah, I guess online. I've said I'm in line. I've said both. I didn't know. Is it Jersey thing?
It's a New York and Jersey thing. I've heard.
Tri-state thing.
Tri-state. Yeah.
Actually,
a Q.
Middle
Dr. Mask, a Q. That's true.
Yeah, right. A Q.
I've heard it called a Q before. Yeah.
You got to know how to spell
Q-U-E.
You got to know how to spell Q. Q-U-E-U-E. You got to know Q.
Q is a pool set.
Q-U-E is K, and that's Spanish for what? Q is C-U-E. That's music.
I was getting to the other letters. I was taking.
What about the pool stick? Isn't that a Q?
Yeah, it's a pool Q also. C-U-E,
right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
My favorite
I think this
Q.
is funny because
my favorite Q has an SO at the end. I just want to say.
Nice. I'm looking at Vaughn, and like he's just starting. And Keith, you said to me earlier, like I've known Aaron forever. He's not doing comics anymore, and I'm not. In fact, I toyed with the fact of bringing the comic. I do. Since last year was 20 years, I toyed with the fact of bringing back the comic as a webcomic, which is also like 20 years too late. Yeah. But I'm like, I miss the storytelling. Tom was the writer. I was the visual guy. But I mean, I came up with the ideas and he fleshed everything out. But it's kind of funny. Like he's about to launch his first Kickstarter. We had to crowdfund our book in 2003, just calling up people that we knew. And we're like, hey, $25.
I'll do that too. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, that's what I say to everybody, and I've been saying that for people forever. We raised $2,000. There was no Kickstarter. Oh, wow. There was no Indiegogo. For the first issue, we raised $2,000. We raised $2,000 for the next one, and $3,000 for the third. And we took, everybody we knew, $25 gets your name. This is the thing I did: gets your name in the book, and gets you a print. And everybody's like, sure. We with friends, family, we were insufferable for like a month. And here's the big thing.
You really were like Kickstarter before it existed.
We were Kickstarter before it was Kickstarter. You know, I think I talked to Matt Man to take an ad out. Yeah, I'll tell you about it. But anyway, I was gonna say, like, you wanted to know, like, do I miss it? I do, but in some ways that hustle, like now I've been doing shows regularly. I just changed my medium, but like I kind of miss saying, like, here's an issue, like putting it on the table and having people come up and read it, you know, and then screaming at people to only read the reader copy and not pick up.
Yeah, right. Yep, there's that too. Yeah, I want to hear too. Like Amy mentioned, you toyed with games, right? Like I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
I'm a huge board gamer. I've been. My mom gave me Monopoly. I had Sorry, Uno. She taught me how to play cards, cribbage, all that stuff when I was like wicked young, like 5-6 years old. So like 76, 77. Then they released, Settlers of Catan in the 90s. And I got into that. Axis and Allies, Fortress America, all this stuff. So I've been rolling with it. And now there's a ton of modern board games. So I'm a graphic designer / illustrator. So my buddy, one of my old gaming buddies from way back in the day, like high school, was like, oh, they're re-releasing this game. Somebody's re-releasing this game, Supremacy, on Kickstarter. So I looked at it, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I contacted the guy. I'm like, your game looks like shit.
Oh, wow.
Like they pulled assets from like clip art and everything. And I'm like, this is a game that is beloved to me. I played this game like every day after high school with my buddies. It's basically Risk with nukes. That's what the game is.
So, that sounds cool.
Yeah. So this is back in like 2013. So I contacted this guy and I worked with him, and lo and behold, I got a graphic design credit on this game. I did all the pieces. I did all the boards. The Kickstarter was run. It raised $50,000. Everything was great. And so I did another game and then one more. And these days I'm up to 15 games. And I've done a bunch of little games, a lot of big games. I got my foot in the door with this publisher who does a game called Motor City, another one called Seven Sisters, another one called Fleet, and they're roll and write. So you roll dice, you write stuff on a sheet kind of thing. And they did this one called French Quarter. So you're in Louisiana, you got like your line going through the city and everything. So the guy reached out to me, said, would you like to do the graphic design on it? And I'm like, sure. So I came on board. Apparently their designer had bailed. So I got to come in. Well, part of, not the designer bailed, but they didn't have anybody do the Kickstarter page.
Okay.
And also to make edits to the book. So I did their whole Kickstarter page for them, all the headers and all that stuff. So that's a bigger name publisher. So that was kind of cool to get my name. And he's like, I've got a little shelf of games that I've done. I got copies of, from the thing.
That's cool.
See, that's exactly really what we were talking about earlier. Like injecting yourself in situations, to get your name in there or out there. You got to do that.
Well, it's like the second chance opportunities are almost more like magical than the initial hire, right? The guy
had nothing
failed
to lose, though, too. He had
nothing. Got nothing to lose. Yeah, I reached out to that guy, and I'm like, and I do that more and more now. There's BoardGameGeeks.com is where they have message boards and stuff. You can look up any board game. And I'm talking about any board game. I went to a thrift shop once and found a game from the 50s. You can literally look it up on BGG. You can see how it's rated. You can see comments. You can see people take pictures of all the components. So I troll the boards on BGG for people looking for designers and stuff. So my latest one is somebody reached out to do the layout for the rule book for Rock of Chickamauga, which is a Civil War. It's a second one in the series. They did a Gettysburg one and they're doing this one. So I had to lay out 28 pages of type over the last week.
God. So are you making making a living on just doing this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Between that, the shows and just other illustrations and logos and stuff. Yeah. That's
really
my thing. That's my jam.
That's awesome. I'm glad you were able to get to a level where you could sustain yourself on it now. Because I remember
go from this bed to the computer.
Yeah, right.
Very short commute to work.
Because I remember that for a while there was like touch and go. You had to get a real job but now that's awesome, Aaron. That's great. Yeah, it's a great find for you too. Because I feel like you found your niche with what you're doing now versus the comics,
I'll show you this real quick. So these are
let me make you big. Hang on.
They make me big. So these are the stuff that I'm doing now. These kind of WPA style.
It's like
national park posters.
Yeah, national park posters for fictional movies and things like that. It's really cool.
I'm doing this, but I just finished doing all 63 real national parks too.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I did all.
And now, is that a big money maker? Are you finding people looking for that stuff? That's cool.
This is the stuff that I
could see that hanging
at shows.
Yeah, I could see someone hanging that up.
Yeah.
I like it too. It's like we see a lot of fan art at shows, and it's it's something that's fanish, but it's really unique. You don't see that kind of stuff.
In Manchester, I had this old guy and his son. They're walking towards my booth, and the son goes, "Dad, look!" And the old guy's like, "Oh yeah, WPA posters from national park posters," and he's like, "No, look!" And I have a Star Wars series or whatever, and the kid's like, "Look, they're Star Wars," and the guy's like, "Whoa!" The older guy appreciated them because they looked like in the style of WPA. Yeah. But the kid appreciated it because it was Star Wars, and they came up and bought a bunch. So I was like,
"That's cool."
You bridged a gap there. Marketing bridge that gap. Yeah,
that's it. I mean, I'm still working. I don't know WPA. Maybe I'll have to start going in other directions. But that's the thing with and not to bring it back to the variant covers, man. But I was like, the new Final Fantasy VII game was coming out, which first of all, way too padded. I'm still playing it. It's been so many months, but it was coming out, and there's this part in the script where I even, to an extent, referenced the part in Final Fantasy VII, the cover, where he's looking up at the reactor. I'm like, wait a minute, I have a blonde kid looking up at a futuristic reactor. Why am I not doing an homage cover? So I'm like, all right, my trading card artist likes this game too. All right, let's get to it.
Yep.
And there we go. Now, realizing that a lot of people will feel, oh, that's cool. But the thing is, you just need that one fan who will be like, I'll buy it. Mm-hmm. Most of them are going to be like, that's cool. Anyway, most people are just going to it's like in your personal life. I'll be like, so many people like, Vaughn, that comic looks great. I'm like, yeah, man, you could buy it here. yeah, it looks great. I'm like, okay, then
well, part of it's like the pitch, right? You have to sell them on it, right? Well, it looks cool, but why do I have to take it home? So one example I have is my San Diego Comic-Con cover I did for Surrounded by Death has some of the architecture of the venue on the cover itself. So when I made a nice big print of it and I had it in a frame, people would walk by and I got a lot of, oh, that's very cool. Now I was like, how do I break the that's very cool to the let me buy this and take it home with you? And the way I kind of found a way around it was like, okay, well, again, this was specific to San Diego. So I go, people in San Diego, when it's Comic-Con season, it's usually July 1st. Because that's kind of like I said, it takes over the city, and there's like, banners that go up all over. It very much becomes like a seasonal thing in the city of San Diego. As a result, I go, oh well, you see this frame right here? You see this this nice San Diego piece? Put it up during Comic-Con season. Goes up on July 1st, comes down July 30th. People loved that, and they think, oh my god, this is great, like seasonal art that you can have in your house, and it also tied to my comic, and it worked. It was a good sales pitch. So it's like bridging that gap the same way Aaron did, where he's like, I took this very familiar poster that people would recognize, an older generation would recognize, but he also made it something that was, appealing to a younger generation.
Oops, sorry.
Can I share my screen real quick? Because speaking of that, I do have an exclusive poster for Fan Expo coming up.
Definitely want to see that.
Let's check
also, I wanted to mention here too, Aaron, might have gotten you a job here. Dr. Mass said, I'll keep you in mind, Aaron. I'm working on my first serious game to crowdfund. Need a logo and graphic design.
Get in touch with me through YouTube or something, or my Instagram is down
at the
here.
end. I'll have you shout out your social media at the end, and then have Dr. Maskin just bookmark this episode and go right to the end and grab your.
Thank you, Doc. That's awesome.
I might actually have a referral for you too, so we'll keep you busy.
Cool. So do I just hit present?
Just present. Go right ahead.
It'll show your screen.
Doesn't that mean like get in the mood in the animal world, like the animal presents itself to? I think it's what I mean. I think it's what it means actually. But one thing that I like about Aaron's work too is like I'm also a graphic designer, illustrator, and I love the and I don't mean this in a bad way. I love the how you use like simple shapes. You can do so many of these, and it's like
that's cool.
I overthink a lot of my stuff. I make them too intricate. But these are like very easy. You know what I mean? Like simple shapes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So can you zoom in a little bit, Aaron? I want to see all the details.
D'Onofrio and Cox are both going to be there. So
cool,
man. I did this Hell's Kitchen one, and
I like it.
Yeah. So I keep things simple, and because the old WPA stuff was just basically simple shapes. Yeah. There was not a lot of detail, and then I have the most fun with the little text at the top.
That's cool.
I really
making call outs. But I came up with the idea, and it took me a few iterations to get it right. And I always make a little exclusive thing at the bottom. So
that's really cool. Now, do you find like exclusive prints like that? Do those do gangbusters for you? Yeah.
Yeah. So I have the Shire poster that I did. If you can see that there, the Shire or whatever. And then hold on one more second. I don't want to monopolize time here. This will be the last thing, and I'll shut up.
No.
I did another exclusive for. Let's see if I can find it now. But anyway, I did a Shire one because all 4 Hobbits were going to be at the show.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Do you gear your artwork depending on who's going to be at the show too? Is that?
I started to do that a couple years ago, and I found it here. Let me share. Yeah, I did that a couple years ago, and it really kind of works. So I do a show in New Hampshire every year. So I've done an Old Man of the Mountain print, and I did a Mount Washington print last year. So here,
cool.
Let me share this real quick. Share screen. Select screen 1. Allow. Okay, so this is. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah,
Shire.
So it's the same. Cool. It's the same Shire, but I've got silhouettes of all 4 Hobbits. So I had people that were buying this and saying that they were going to go
get them all
have
signed.
all 4 Hobbits signed. Yeah,
Perfect, man.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff
It's
you got to
good.
do.
It's good marketing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
and I
That's
normally
bridging
don't put,
that gap.
bridging the
Well,
gap.
I
I
mean,
normally don't put people in it, but yeah, I put silhouettes.
I feel it's the equivalent like when a comic dealer knows that an artist is going to be at the show, so they bring all the covers or or the runs that the artist did. To me, it's the same thing.
It's
It's
smart.
Oh, and they put the post-its on. They're like, "Hey, get this signed by this person."
Yeah, exactly.
Griffithon
Yeah, you
does
could
that.
do that too. Do you do that too, Aaron? Do you put that get it signed?
I did. I put a little sign and was like, meet the hobbits kind of thing. Take
Get it
you know,
signed. Yeah,
get it
absolutely,
signed,
man.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I'm definitely
Have
gonna
you
do
ever
that for
had
Charlotte
any of the
Bucket.
actors come seek you out after they've gotten the poster?
So I haven't, but I have had a few star moments where people have come to the artist alley and stood right in front. What's her name from Doctor Who? Catherine Tate.
Oh, yeah,
She's awesome.
Yeah. She and her handler showed up looking for the people at the table next to me 3 years ago at Fan Expo, and the people weren't there. So she's I stood up and I looked right at her. Oh, I do have one story that relates, but I'll finish this one up first.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy fuck, you're Catherine Tate. I'm like, I'm a big fan of your work. I'm not going to fanboy. I'm going to sit back down. I know you're on a mission. But okay, so 2 years ago at that Manchester show, I'm sitting by the bathroom. This lady walks by. She goes to the bathroom, comes back out. She's got a guest badge on. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? She's looking through my portfolio. And she keeps looking at my Avatar. I did a series of Avatar The Last Airbender posters, one for each temple. And she goes, I'm just looking at your stuff. And I'm like, okay. I said, are you a guest or a handler? And she goes, I'm a guest. I said, oh, cool. What do you do? She goes, I'm a voice actress. And I said, oh, anything I've known? She goes, yeah, I'm the voice of Korra from Legend of Korra.
Oh, wow.
It was Janet Varney. And so she looked at my Southern Air Temple poster and she's like, I want to buy this. And I'm like,
cool.
Here you go. She bought it. And she let me take a picture with her. I said, can I, because no one's going to believe this. And I took a picture and it's up on Instagram, but she was super nice.
Oh,
she talked to me for like 10, 15 minutes, but she's like, I got to get back to my table and I don't want to keep people from your table. But I have like a bunch of friends that are huge Avatar fans. And I'm like,
I love
guess
Avatar.
what just happened? It's so good. I like Korra too. And she's she loves fan art. Like some of these people love fan art. She was like, she posts all this. So yeah, it was like,
yeah. I mean, listen, cool. I think I speak for everyone, and we all want to create something. Like I'm having a fan art contest. We all want to create something that inspires people. Like they don't even know you, and like, I mean, to eventually inspire that passion in people.
Yeah.
I mean, even the little capacity I have with my art contest is just amazing. Just seeing people that are excited for something.
Yeah.
Well,
that's how I want to enter it. I want to enter your contest.
Can. All the rules are on all the rules that no one seems to be able to. Look, I'm messing, but I have you have to use this hashtag to enter, and people just tag me. I'm like, oh, thank you, and then I just use the hashtag so I can find it. So
do you know why? Because people are dumb.
Yeah, people don't know how
to everyone that submitted, you're all very smart, and I would denounce it.
Fair enough. Except for those people who entered. People are dumb.
Yeah.
No, they're the smartest.
Yeah. They're the smartest people.
Well, speaking of that, like I'd say I want to definitely show the audience like both of your
put Vaughn up. I've had too much of the spotlight. Let's talk about Vaughn for the
and then I want to show your
please.
Etsy store though also, Aaron.
Oh
so
yeah. Let's fire it up.
But yeah, definitely let's take a look at Vaughn's campaign here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with
I like the name. I just like the name of the comic. I don't know what it's about.
All right. So I went into so first of all, the most controversial decision I ever made was calling this comic book Phenomenova. The day I did that, I had people saying like this is amazing and people saying this is horrible because I changed the name multiple times. So when I was a little kid going back to it was Lightning Lad, then it was The Vortex, then it was I even have prints of it, Living Legends, and then I was like that's borderline that might get me in some trouble. Also, brand recognition, right? It's too common. So it's like, how do you follow up Living Legends? And so I go into this manic state where I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm not allowing myself to do anything. I'm not worthy of doing anything. And, what? Because I'd be at a family gathering, be like, what's your comic book called? I'm like, and it was like the fifth time I was like, I'm figuring it out. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I need a name right now before the end of the new year. And so I'm brainstorming and I'm like writing down what are superheroes. It's about a team. It's going to be, because even though issue 1 has this one guy, it's going to evolve into a team book. So I'm like, they're a team. Superheroes are kind of like phenomenons because they're media phenomenons. Their powers are a phenomenon. Okay, cool. Novas are like and then I'm just writing out all these words on a piece of paper. Like Nova is like a bright young star full of energy and potential. It's bright. And then I'm like, oh my God, I see the 2 words and I mash them up. And then that night as I'm going to bed, I'm like, Phenomenova is perfect. And as I'm about to go to bed, I'm like, actually, it sucks. This is horrible. What was I doing? Back to the drawing board. I wake up in the morning. I like it again. Happens for a few days. And finally, I'm like, nope, I'm paying for the logo design. That way I literally cannot go back on it. And I pay it. And I was very happy with it. So Phenomenova is set 20 years after World War III and follows the idealistic son of a war hero who is struck by lightning while holding a mysterious crystal, and he finds himself galvanized with lightning powers and lightning speed, and he wants to use those powers to make the world a better place and be like the brave superheroes that fought during the war. And he dons this makeshift costume with just like, what do I got around the house? He's rushing into action. He's very impulsive, but he's very passionate, and he's going to get humbled very quickly. And that is eventually my plan is the series. We're going to see him for the first couple arcs. For the first arc, we're going to see him evolve by getting trained by one of the veteran heroes from World War III to join a team of young superheroes called Phenomenova. So that is what the book is about. So he is Galvanite. And if you notice, you're like, that's a really cool name. Yeah, it's a name that's too cool for him. I almost imagine like a kid that has shoes that are too big that I'll one day grow into. It's kind of like that. Like I decided as I was writing it, because normally the tradition is by the end of the first issue, they got it together. Like Spider-Man is Spider-Man. And as I was writing it, I was like, I'm in a good place. I have a lot of ideas for him building up to it. And I kept thinking of all the steps he needs to take. I'm like, let's take this. Let's take this time. Let's really. And then what's cool is I'll have the other superheroes filling that void on the team.
Oh, I see.
So
you're going to build different
superheroes
characters.
in action. Yeah, and that's why I was really frustrated because I had to jump to the campaign. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, there's another cover that the reason I'm pushing back my Kickstarter is because there's my final variant cover is coming. But man, I wanted to I was finally getting to the part where Phenomenova, the team, gets introduced. I get to that splash page and I'm like, all right, now I got to work on the Kickstarter. I'll get back to it. And now I'm like, oh, come on, I want to write issue 3, but but yeah, so this one isn't finished yet. That one,
that's gorgeous.
So when I posted that art,
that is,
went suddenly everyone went crazy over it on Twitter. Like I think Kelsey Shannon was like, "What is it? This Vaughn kid came out of nowhere and just dropped this? Like, what is this? Can we pay attention to this?" And people, I only got like 20 signups just or something from posting that alone. And I post that. I use that for. I had people tell me, "Vaughn, use that in the background for everything."
Get that tattooed on you. That's
not just that.
Beautiful.
If I hit 15K and it will include Kickstarter money. Everyone gets that as a mini print.
Oh, nice. Cool.
So if you want that as a mini print, we're at 12K. We're not that far off. So
wait, so this campaign is going on now, or this?
Yes.
You keep saying something's launching, but not launching.
So Kickstarter is launching
live on Fund My Comic right now.
This is Fund My Comic. Okay.
And then he's going to launch a Kickstarter.
Some people
shortly.
prefer Kickstarter. It was going to be this week, but my 5th cover artist, Buzz, the last variant cover. It will be done by, I don't know if you guys know Buzz, but he is doing the final variant cover. He did Vengeance of Vampirella in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
He is doing the final variant cover for this.
Oh,
so
cool.
So that is going to be it. That mini print of the villain right there, Dark Cloud, I needed some villain art, and you're not going to see too much of him in issue 1 because I want to focus on the hero, but you'll see enough. I wanted some really cool villain art, and we got that. That is a Fund My Comic exclusive mini print. So if you back on Fund My Comic, you will get that as a mini print free with your order.
Cool. Nice. Johnny, look at this. Look who's the letterer.
Oh, you use George?
George.
George.
Look at that.
Yeah, we know George.
Yeah, we hung out with him at New York Comic Con. Yeah,
that was that. New York. Actually, I forgot about that. I forgot that you guys worked together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Nice,
awesome.
nice.
Yeah, this looks cool, Vaughn.
Oh, there's the
man.
fan
As a
art contest.
matter of fact,
Oh yeah.
Didn't I introduce you to George at Wicked Comic Con, or did you already know him at that
No,
point?
it was
Vaughn?
New York Comic Con, and I knew him because my first published work back there, he edited. So he lettered, and I was like, "You did a good job on that. Let me show you over this." And I feel, God bless the man. I have had to do so many revisions, and I could tell that he's like the nicest guy. It's like, dude, what do you? I'm like, listen, man, but it's because I would be like, you know, my logo, my cover, well, it needs a logo. Oh, I forgot to put the issue. George, could you help me out? He's like, dude, you just told me to place the logo. You've made me do this. Like, no, I'm kidding with you. George is a sweetheart. And George has done the first 20 pages lettered. The book is mostly done. I have 62 pages inked. I have 65.
Awesome.
The artist decided 62 pages inked, 51 or something colored, and 20 pages lettered by, God bless him, George. So
nice.
So you're doing a trade, or you're doing a floppy, like an oversized giant size thing?
This is a giant size first. So imagine, giant size X-Men #1 kickstarts, even though it's not by Claremont, kickstarts his run. New Mutants, it debuted in the graphic novel. Yeah. Well, that was at the time of launch.
Oh, okay.
So we are past that now. So I'm gonna have to update that.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay.
So
always update your shit. That's what I gotta say, people. Update your shit.
No, do you have stuff that you have planned for the Kickstarter that's unique?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I found out they removed that, and I was like, well, I'm gonna. It's because I realized how hard it is to explain. People have told me you should make something Kickstarter exclusive. I'm like, dude, do you know how hard it was just to explain one crowdfunding platform to people?
You don't need it. Just keep that. Yeah, keep it simple.
Yeah, I'm like,
you said you're doing another cover, right? So that could be the Kickstarter.
Yeah, it was initially going to be, and then I realized I don't have to make it exclusive, and I was like, then I'm not going to. Hey, listen, it's going to launch the same day as the Kickstarter, but if you are like, dude, I already backed them from my comic, no problem. It'll be an add-on. Boom.
So I'm going to share
I just want
the
that
link.
print. I just want that dragon thing.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you know what? Make sure you help me get to 15K, and which is reasonable actually at this point.
It is reasonable.
We have at least a month left in production. That's why I decided to launch when I did. I was like, I'm close enough where I can campaign for the rest of production. And
I'll share the link to so right now the Kickstarter is just in the notify me page right now, right? So I'll share that in the chat as well, in case people want to wait and see what that cover is going to be.
It'll be on the Fun My Comics. I can show you the thumbnail for it if you want to see the thumbnail.
Yeah, if you want to share your screen, you can take a look at it. Yeah,
fire it up.
That dragon print could be a good T-shirt too. Design.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to temper my
that image would be awesome on is like when they put that when they make those Hawaiian shirts with the all around.
I was gonna say that. I didn't.
Were you gonna say that? Yeah, that would be
even
fucking cool.
Think of that.
I want to put it on the side of one of those vans that has like the little moon window.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what. If this does well enough, and if there's enough demand, because it was set 20 years after World War III, and as I was planning World War III, because superhumans fought in World War III, I was like, dude, this is an idea. And so I would have loved, it would be called Crusader Corps. That's the name of the team that fought during. So when I was writing down new names to replace Phenomenova, that was one or to replace Living Legends. That was one of the ones that came up, and I was like, it doesn't fit. And I was like, but you know what? It does fit. And so I came up with that. So Crusader Corps will be the prequel. And but here it is. This is the thumbnail for the Buzz cover.
All right, let me see.
It's just the thumbnail art.
Oh, can you zoom in a little closer so we can
see? Oh, that's gonna be cool.
That's cool,
his thumbnail alone. He was like, I have an idea, because I kind of had an idea. I was like, you know what, Buzz? Tell me what your idea is. I'm like, don't even worry about my we're just gonna go with yours.
That's awesome, dude.
There is going to be a back cover too.
Look forward to seeing it finished to see what that looks like. You know,
yeah, I can't even wait. Although where are you going to put the logo on this one? Is it going to be?
I saw. I was like, I normally don't like Virgin covers, but
yeah, that might be a good.
You could do one of those logos where like the title is exploding.
Yeah, you can
amongst
do one
like
of those
the
too.
blowback.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But he's got the
Ooh.
Gundam head up in the top. The Gundam head kind of screws it up.
Yeah,
there.
that's why I
Yeah.
think because my artist was like, yeah, you could just hide the heads. I'm like, I might just hide.
Or
the
you can do
logo.
it like one of the DC books. Don't they put it like really small on the bottom sometimes now? Or
They
is that
could.
part of their...
Like you got some stuff at the bottom, or this is a favorite thing to do of mine, run it up the side, run it up the right side.
Yeah,
Don't
up the
stack
side
type,
might
don't stack
work,
type, but
too.
just run it up the side and then you
I'm
got
gonna
it.
let my artists just do with their thing, and then I'm gonna decide.
You might even be able to wrap it around behind the main character, like where it's kind of going in an arc behind him.
Yeah,
or
you
you might
have that
cut off
separation.
like the O and M from Phenomenova, or something like that. But people will know what it is,
See,
Well,
this is
what they did with the
even
Ultimate
stuff
Spider-Man
like
logo.
this.
I
Even
love
stuff like this is creativity in a way that if I was just writing for a page. So I used to get annoyed because I'm like, oh, I have to figure that out. And once I drop that mindset, I'm realizing, okay, I'm not writing a script, but I am creating. Okay, I may not be drawing it, but I'm deciding where the logo placement is, or having someone like George would tell me where to help me place.
Yeah, George might have some good ideas.
That's how I talk to him. I would talk to him a lot. I'd be like, where should I place the logo, George? What are you thinking? He'd give me an idea. And he always what he came up with was better than what I came up with. Always. I'd be like,
I do like your version of the old Marvel corner box too. I thought that was clever. The way you have it, like with the lightning bolt.
That was like revision number 3 to the covers that I made George add because my friend I put all this effort into this comic and all these covers and talking about it. And I'm on a live stream where we're talking about comics and I have a panic attack because I see the Firestar issue 1. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't put an issue number. All the things I forget. I didn't put the issue. And I'm like, I tell my main graphic artist to basically become my right-hand man. I'm like, he had already done the Rebel Oasis logo, which is the name of my studio. And then I go, we don't have an issue number. How we do? And then he just does this lightning bolt thing. And because I was like, I'll just take a box, man. And then he just does that. I'm like, can we fit a number in this? He's like, yeah. I'm like,
yeah, it's good.
And he goes, not only that, I'm gonna fit an illustration in there too. He drew the illustration. I'm like,
cool. Yeah. I like corner boxes. I have them on my books. So
yeah, it was a good call. Them. And then George decided that if you look at the covers, there's a slightly that wasn't my artist. He added a different color logo corner box with each one. So if there's one cover where it looks better with purple, there's one color where it looks better. I didn't ask him to do that. He just did that.
Nice.
It's cool, man. Funny. It's like artists have an eye. Like there's an eye where they fill in the gaps that the writer overlooks. You know what I mean? That's a good collaborative team too.
Yeah, I'm learning that. I'm looking. Every single person that's contributed has added something that I didn't think of, which is why when people are like, "Oh, AI will," I'm like, "No, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to."
That's a whole other show.
Yeah, now you're dipping into territory that's gonna piss people off.
I was showing somebody my drawing of the T-shirt that I did for the coworker of mine, and so I showed some guy what I drew, the picture I drew of the coworker. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. So what you use an app to do that? I'm like, no, I drew that. I hate.
One quick story that gives us hope though about AI that I literally read from one of my friends' posts on Facebook. He talked about like how I don't know if it was like a studio or somebody like an artistic advertising agency or something decided like, you know what? I'm going to take a chance and hire AI artists and just give them a chance. And this is what they found out. So like he would give them all the assignment to go and create an image. And so they would go and create it and then they would come back and then like he would start giving them feedback like, all right, I need you to change the perspective on this. I need you all this stuff that artists know, perspective, colors. And then the AI artists are like, I don't, like, because all they know how to do is prompts. So like,
right.
So there's no like back and forth either.
They don't know how to be an artist for real. Yeah. So like that gave me a little hope that AI is just going to it's just be used by like the shysters of the print world and things like that,
Or my artist.
I
goes,
saw the.
"Hey,"
Okay.
my artist. I'm doing this last page. My artist goes, "I want the last panel to be a splash page, like in Spider-Man 2." Now, if I didn't tell my artist to do that, he just goes, "Can I do this?" AI does what it's told. It doesn't have its own personality, its own things that it resonate. It doesn't read the script and feel something. Go, this reminds me of that scene in this movie. Can I draw it in this way? AI will never do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
what
were you going to say, Aaron? Too? What were you going to say about it?
I saw the best meme tonight, and it was, I want AI to do my laundry and my dishes, and not have AI make my art and my writing, so I can do the laundry and the dishes myself.
No, that's great.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, that's like, we definitely want that.
I still have a little bit of contention with walking, talking robots around the house.
Yeah,
a little too close to the apocalypse to me.
Yeah,
it all started with Rocky IV, I think it was.
Oh, that was. I remember watching that movie because I was like, I watched it like years later, and I was like, Rocky 1, he's like, in the dumps, 2, and then 3, and then it's like 4. I'm like, why are we on rope? What did I miss a movie? Like, how did we?
Why is
why does Vaughn talking about Rocky remind me of Tom Holland's Spider-Man talking about that old movie Empire Strikes Back?
I resent that. I can tell you because no one talks about this. I actually hate the way Tom Holland Spider-Man talks, because I swear to you, no one. I have never heard a single person my age say, that really old movie Empire Strikes Back. They say Empire Strikes Back. This is a 40-year-old man going, I bet the kids talk like they don't. Okay. Did you refer to, what were some movies you grew up with that came out before you were born? Does anyone refer to Citizen Kane as that really old movie? No, it's Citizen Kane.
I have.
Aliens? All right. I haven't. Unless I'm talking to someone who's like, what? Then I'm like, that's old. Otherwise,
it's like
when he goes,
like,
that really old movie, Aliens, that really
I just feel old.
When Peter, when he goes, you guys know that really old movie, Aliens? I'm like, I would slap someone my age for saying that. Aaron?
I got a jet. It's been an hour and a half, so I got to go, unfortunately. But this is great.
It was great. Aaron,
yeah, definitely. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for taking the time
share
on
your
night.
Etsy store on.
Please do.
Wrap up.
I went to follow Vaughn on Twitter, and I already follow him. So there we go.
Oh, nice.
Oh, awesome. And then, Aaron, if you want to just shout out your social medias real quick, so if people want to hire you for things,
sure, you can get in touch with me through Instagram at Aaron Wood Designs. That's my thing, and you can see it on the screen there. And you can find my Etsy store is Just One Scarf, JUSTONESCARF. And I asked Keith beforehand, like, do you guys give plugs or anything at the end of the show? But I want to give 2 plugs.
Yeah,
one's geek related, one's cinema / show related. Which Vaughn reminded me of this. So one is go watch Godzilla -1 on Netflix.
Yeah.
I saw that in theaters.
Go watch it twice, because they have it with English dub and they have it with English sub. So watch it first with English dub.
Okay.
Then watch it with Japanese and English sub. And then I am a huge fan of The Bear. I don't know if any of you guys have watched
Johnny's
The Bear.
Been recommending that for me.
If you haven't watched The Bear, stop what you're doing after this episode ends. Go watch The Bear. There's 2 seasons out. The 3rd season drops on the 17th. Every day I give my girlfriend a countdown. It is one of the best, most stressful shows on TV. It is so well written. There's geek aspects to it. There's drama. There's some of the best guest stars you see on a TV show that come out of nowhere. Season 2, episode 6 or 7 is some
Christmas dinner
TV. The Christmas dinner, but Forks afterwards with Richie going to stage. So it's about a chef. Basically, the Punisher kills himself. What's his name from Daredevil?
John Bernthal.
John Bernthal is Carmi's brother. He kills himself and bequeaths this sandwich shop in Chicago to his brother. And Carmi has to deal with all this. Phenomenal writing throughout. Phenomenal soundtrack. Phenomenal
put it in
dialogue.
my rotation.
Full circle storytelling. Full circle story. Yeah.
Episode 6 of season 1 is one take. It's not cut.
Oh wow!
Anywhere. People are saying it's cut. It's not cut anywhere. I've seen discussions with everybody. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. But those are my 2 plugs. I got to get going, guys.
Oh yeah,
thanks for hanging out, man.
Aaron, I'll see you at some shows this year. I'm sure.
Yeah, you bet.
You, Aaron.
All right, have a good one. Have a good night.
Take care, man.
All right, see ya.
I can geek out about the bear for hours.
I'm putting in the rotation. Done. I'll watch it soon.
Yeah, the intricacy of the storytelling in that show is phenomenal.
Half hour or 1 hour?
Like
shows?
40 minutes ish episodes. Okay. Yeah,
I love that guy from Shameless. That's a guy from Shameless. I forget his name. And yeah,
he was great in
2/3 of the way through Fallout right now, and I'm loving that.
Cool,
fucking great show.
I just finished the 3-Body Problem on Netflix.
How is that? I was curious about that one.
So it's funny because it has I had a hard time getting into it at first, and then I kind of got into it, and then the season 1 ends like kind of like a little bit of a cliffhanger and not really a good resolution. So it's like I feel like they didn't get good footing with season 1 so far.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So, question: Will you go back for season 2
if there's a season 2? Yes, 100%.
Okay.
You know, I've been seeing Fall Guy. I know you have, Johnny, but I think what would be cool.
I saw it. I finally saw it.
What I think what would be cool is if Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk makes an appearance in it to come full circle, because there's a Hulk scene in the original Fall Guy.
I do remember that. Remember that? I was telling Amy about that. That'd be the one cool thing. Did you notice, Johnny? They changed the song. I was like upset about that.
Oh yeah,
Lee Major song. He didn't have.
Yeah, but it's the same
Unknown
song.
Unknown Stuntman.
But they omitted all the actors' names that were mentioned in the song. They changed it to something else.
Nobody knows who they are now.
Well, I mean, some of them you do. They're all classics. I think.
Some are classics that you can't. Yeah.
But I was kind of like, that must be a rights thing, maybe, or something. Maybe they.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lee Majors definitely didn't sing it this time around.
No,
yeah, right.
But great movie. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was a really fun movie.
Yeah.
Little
Vaughn,
long.
what was the last movie you saw?
I've been bad lately. I was supposed to see Furiosa, but then I couldn't because I was at work and I was working on my comic, honestly, and then I streaming. But
did you see it yet, right, Johnny?
What was the last thing I saw? I've been terrible with movies.
What's the last thing that really caught you where you geeked out over it and you saw it and you're like you had to tell everybody about it? The same way Aaron was with the bear.
I've been so in my own head, man. It's been bad. It's been really bad.
No worries.
I guess
sounds like a good show.
Well, it's not a show.
Or game. I mean,
X-Men 97.
Dude, I confess, despite all this, I actually was gonna watch it tonight, but I'm gonna watch it tomorrow, and then I have to watch it tomorrow as soon as I get back from work, and then I'm gonna do a show where me and a group of people are gonna talk about it. So
nice.
I have to watch it tomorrow.
I have one episode left, I think. Of
I'm still halfway through it. I got too busy this week.
It's good. It's really good.
It's the best thing that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has put out so far, hands down.
Yeah, I agree. There was one thing that annoyed me, but I can tell you guys about that after.
Yeah, we can do that off.
I hate when superheroes lose their powers,
That happens so many times.
I know.
That's part of it, man. Oh, you're talking about Storm. Yeah.
Well, Storm, but I'm saying that was Life Death. That was Life Death, which is the best, one of the best. Like Claremont alone does that with Storm. I was shocked how long that went on. That was 40 issues.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that it was an homage to that, and I love Forge. I think Forge is
an underrated
cool
character.
Fucking mutant, man. I love that power. I wish I had that power.
There's so many. Claremont's run, really. Like, in all honesty, I'm getting close to the end. I keep getting dragged away from it. Maybe I'll read some. I have Claremont's run and all the adjacent books. I'm not saying I won't read any other X-Men, but I don't really care to read what anyone
They've
else
overcomplicated it now. Like back then, it was just the Claremont. All you needed was that series, and now
when I was trying to get into
very
it,
overcomplicated.
You could tell there's too many cooks in the kitchen. The characters don't read like the same character. Like, that's the thing. Everyone was telling me House and Powers of X is the best thing. And at first it was like, oh my God, I can't wait for the reveal that they're all mind controlled. Because it didn't even occur to me that like this would be a genuine possibility that the X-Men would just have gone this far. I was like, I can't wait for the reveal. They're still not mind controlled.
Yeah, I don't know how they're getting out of that. They're wrapping up all that stuff now.
I don't care.
I dumped it so long ago that I don't care myself.
The X-Men died in a tragic accident a long time ago. It was really sad.
But watching X-Men 97, this is going back to the comic books, but I just was like, why can't they make the comics like this? It's so simple to just
because they won't hire Chris Claremont. They refuse to hire him. They have him on.
Or hire the writers of that show to do one X-Men book, and that's all you need. Like they juggled it so perfectly, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like from what I've seen, they've done Inferno, not Fall of the Mutants yet, right? But
they're their own takes of it, which I think, you know.
Oh, because Life, Death, Trial of Magneto. I mean, like they're pulling from Claremont, and that has me because again. I was thinking about if I were to do one movie, it would be one X-Men movie. I would make it a Mutant Massacre movie because I think that's such a good summation. It's such a simple story. It's like almost imagine like an Aliens type. I'm not in the sense of it's in any way, but just in the sense that it's a simple action story in one place. It's just literally all it is when you boil it down. It's a really simple story that just has a bunch of complex characters. There is a genocide. The X-Men have to prevent it and get the people out and prevent the genocide. That's all you need. And it's just villains versus heroes. That would be my dream X-Men movie to do. Do you guys ever listen to the X-Men audio drama podcast?
No.
They just got to Mutant Massacre. All right. Listen to that. It is so good. It's so good.
Is it on YouTube or
Apple?
Apple?
Amy was saying she was happy with Storm's costume change after that story in 97. You know what's interesting? I was seeing today that Storm is going to become an Avenger in like a newer issue, which is interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that'll be fun for like a few.
I don't know why they're mixing those universes, but it's interesting idea.
Remember, Beast was an Avenger back in the day too.
Yeah, that's true. And so
so it's like they've done those crossovers.
Speaking of mixing universes, I just saw this article that I don't know who Matthew Vaughn is. Speaking of Vaughn,
Matthew Vaughn. He directed Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class.
There's an article here. It says here, Superman, Matthew Vaughn pitches Red Sun adaptation with Henry Cavill as the Man of Steel.
That'd be
cool. That would be cool. He played son of whatever.
Yeah, but Red Sun is an alternate version where Superman landed in Russia instead of America. That would be cool. Yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see what they would do with that.
Good old Comrade Clark.
Yeah, right. We've come back to Russia again. Like here we are again, back in the Cold War.
I would love to see that movie, honestly.
Yeah, well,
but Matthew Vaughn, I love the Kingsman movies. Like, I think he did a great job on those. I hope they do more. You know, I'd love to see more of those.
My other question for Vaughn actually is like your dad is this comic is dedicated to your dad?
Yes. So it was. Yeah, sure. So, when I was going in, I wanted to make like the definitive love letter for me because no one can do the definitive. That's one of the things you realize is people can only do when you do the definitive love letter. It's going to be from you. And I was like, let me double down. People are already calling it a self-insert anyway, whatever. And I'm like, my character's missing something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what is my character? What's my story missing? What is my character missing? And when I write something, I really like digging down to the core of my idea of what I'm saying. And I was like, well, my character, look at Bruce Wayne. He lost his parents. You look at Spider-Man. He lost his Uncle Ben. I was like, what made these characters resonate with me? And that was part of it. And I was like, well, why? And I was like, well, because that's what I went through. And my character, I had alluded to the fact that his dad wasn't in the picture, but I never really gave it that much thought. And I'm like, well, maybe I should. Maybe I should make it a thing instead of saving it for later. Maybe I should hit them with the punch right out the gate, make it a better story. And as I was doing that, and I was like, well, why do these characters mean so much to me? So everyone loves superheroes for the obvious reasons, right? They love the costumes. They love the running storylines. They love the mythos, the lore, the fights, all of that. But let's boil it down to its core. And what I realized was that it's like the embodiment of the human spirit and everything. And what it meant to me was, when I was a kid, I lost my dad in 9/11. And I was in a really angry place where I was in a sad place where I needed, like, these horrible people. I killed my dad, and I needed a sense of justice in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like seeing Superman, or heroes that go through personal loss and they go out of their way to take that pain, and instead of hurting people, they use it to make a world where that doesn't happen to someone else. That inspired me so much as a kid. Yeah. And I genuinely think that in a way they kind of helped save my life and gave me life lessons. And when I didn't have a father, I'd look up to, as corny as it sounds, superheroes. And it's not the same. It'll never be, but it was something. And it was like, I want to give that to a kid, And there was one script draft I wrote where I was in an angry place. And I'm like, my kid self would have hated this. And I'm like, why? And I wanted to double down on that. And I figured, well, let's go all in. Let me dedicate him. Let me model it after my dad. So that way I always wanted to create a legacy that could live forever. And I was like, well, I want his face to be there, to be dedicated to him every time, long after I'm dead, that his legacy is also on the page with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to dedicate it to my dad.
No, it's awesome. You should show that. You should show the artwork for that in the comic. I think you went by it earlier, but you should show it again.
Yeah, it's in the. Do you want me to? Should I share my screen?
Yeah, you can share your screen.
I might have it. Is it on the campaign?
Yeah, it's on the campaign.
All right, I still have it here. Hang on.
That must have been very cathartic for you too in the process of, like, so you killed a lot of birds with one stone in the sense that you were able to express yourself in the light of your personal tragedy and the trauma related to it. But then on top of that, you were also able to honor.
It made my story better too. That's the most, it felt like my story. I've written the first 8 issues, and I'm going to go back to the others, but I spent more time in the first 20 pages of issue 1 writing than anything else. And once I had this element, it really
became personal.
It became personal, and I think I would send it to people, not telling them my background or anything, because it wasn't like, hey, I was like, let's see, and they'd be like, this resonates, and that's the thing. If you have to be an expert on my life to understand my writing, it's not going to work. And one of the things that made it work, I think, was dealing with the theme of legacy and heroism. So my dad, logically in the war, it would have made sense the dad would have been a war hero, because 20 years earlier, everyone was drafted to go and fight in the war. And so I wanted to make it so the dad was a war hero. And now here comes, and my mom was like, consider making a superhero, but I didn't want to. I want him to be like an everyday kind of man who rose, to show that it's not about the powers. And so when the kid gets the powers, it's like he wants to be like his dad, and he's not there yet. He doesn't know what he's doing. His dad had military training. His dad had and it's one of the things where it's like the idealism, keeping the idealism while also facing reality and not letting reality beat you down is kind of one of the main themes. And carrying legacy on. There's I almost pitched my story as, imagine if Spider-Man lost his first outing, and then one of the Justice League members trains him to be part of the Teen Titans. It's kind of like that kind of thing. It's like, so he loses, and instead of becoming his own independent hero, all right, nope, kid, you got to do this.
Yeah, I like seeing that though. I like seeing that journey, because it drives me nuts. Like when like a character gets like a power and he's instantly awesome.
Good.
Yeah, it drives me crazy. When
as I was writing it, it just felt wrong. I was like, this doesn't even make sense. Ray. It's just, honestly, I learned a lot from bad writing, because I'm like, what do I not do? Okay.
Yeah, right.
Why?
Yeah, honestly, that's a great idea.
You know what else I hate?
It sucks, and then do the opposite of
and that's why I wrote 60-something pages, and I was like, it doesn't make sense for this character to be in a full superhero costume with control of his powers at the end. I go, that's okay. Because I know,
you know what else I hate? I hate when there's like a transfer of powers, like when the villain somehow gets the powers of the good guy, and the good guy gets the powers of all of a sudden the evil guy who's inherited the powers of the good guy knows instantly how to use the powers.
Oh,
I hate that. How does he know how to do all these? I have to figure it out.
Because we have 20 pages to tell the story, Harry. Don't think about it.
She's so angry.
That makes me so angry.
What the hell am I watching here? I
never think about that much, but there's a Smallville episode. It's like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, hang on. Didn't he spend the whole season? And then meanwhile, he's just instant. I'm like, dude,
are you a fan of Smallville?
So maybe
I'm a huge fan. I love that show.
I liked it. I never finished season I watched season 1, but I never finished the show.
It's really, really. I mean, because not every episode isn't the greatest. It's not a hit, but
yeah, there were some.
There's like little morsels of goodness in each episode. You know what I mean? Like something you can take away.
But
from
also that came out at a time when there was nothing, and like
they started the whole WBCW era.
Yeah.
The whole thing, like everything.
That's why that show was a success.
Yeah,
that era, like you said, Keith, is where we didn't have the glut of superhero stuff that we do now.
Yeah.
So they were able to get away with putting people in like regular attire that was color adjacent to their comic costume.
Oh yeah.
And we would consider that acceptable.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, at least Aquaman had an orange shirt and green pants.
Yeah, right.
It's like, and we were accepting that.
Green Arrow had like shades and like a hoodie.
Yeah, every character in Smallville was like that.
So I hated that version of Green Arrow because it was like he wasn't good at being an archer. It was all the tech that made him good, and that drove me freaking crazy.
Oh yeah, because he becomes minimalist, right? Wasn't that like the whole thing?
That
on the island? Year 1 is so good.
So
yeah, I love Green Arrow, like when he's stripped down to just him and the arrow and the.
Well, that's what I think. I understand the annoyance of losing powers, but I think like one of the things I thought of was stripping your character of like in issue 2, you're going to see that. I'm not going to spoil too much, but it's not as much stripped of power. It's tough, but it's like break your character down so you can build them up again. Life Death did it with Storm, Daredevil Born Again did it with Daredevil by stripping your character down to the essential, and that's kind of what I think the story. You strip them down to the essentials.
So you don't talk about the villain Dark Cloud until the second.
Well,
not until the second issue, right?
He's going to be in issue 1. No, I don't talk about him in depth. And they're my favorite issue that I've written so far. I need to go back and rewrite. There might be some small things going to change, but I'm going to try and keep it largely intact because it's really good.
Yeah.
Is the issue, which I won't spoil the issue number yet, but it's where I'm finally going to reveal his backstory. Might be my favorite thing I've ever written. But we're going to build to it. You haven't earned that reveal, and you won't earn. It won't be earned by issue 2. You'll earn that. It'll come when it's right for. It might not even. The hero might not have even earned it, but it'll be when it's right for the story.
I like that.
I know when the issue number is, but you don't.
What services the story? I like that a lot. That's how most people should write their work.
Yeah, and with that, let's. I'm gonna start wrapping up because we're at an hour and 52 minutes. Which is
it flew right by. It flew right by,
man.
It's a pleasure.
One thing I want to do though before we start wrapping up, I do want to show off Aaron's Etsy store really quick, so everyone can check this out. I'm gonna put a link in the chat here. If you guys liked some of the prints that you saw that earlier in the show that Aaron was showing off, this is his Etsy store, and this is where you can get them from. And he's at a lot of conventions. He does these awesome video game propaganda posters as well,
very affordable.
I love this Pac-Man one he did. So he's got some cool stuff, and I forgot what he has, he has Star Wars, he has tons of stuff. So definitely check out his Etsy store or see him at a local con, and he shared his Instagram and all that as he posts there. He'll let you know which shows he'll be at and things like that. So check that out. And then also I'm going to share Vaughn's campaigns here again in the chat.
Yep. So we have the Fund My Comic page.
Yeah. First we got the Fund My Comics, which you can actually back right now. And if you prefer to wait and you're more comfortable with Kickstarter, you can go to this link and hit the notify me on launch. And once that goes live, you can back him there as well. And there's that. One campaign I want to talk about that's not really indie or craziness. Did you guys see the Skybound G.I. Joe campaign that they just launched 4 days ago?
No.
What is it?
They are collecting the entire Marvel run of every title that they did. I
did see that.
The Real American Hero. They're doing the G.I. Joe special missions, the yearbook. and G.I. Joe versus Transformers.
It's a
in
omnibus,
4
right?
volumes, like this thick.
Yep.
It's a hefty one. I actually had to bust out the credit card because the buy-in level on it's like $300 to get all 4 books. But you get all 4 books that are about this thick. You get a collector case. The thing funded in 6 minutes.
Of course.
And it's dude, it's on its way to $2 million. And by the time it hits there, they're gonna have like 10 to 12 stretch goals unlocked. It's fucking nuts.
Wow, that's insane. So now's the time to buy because you're gonna get the stretch goals and all sorts of fun stuff that's available.
The other thing they did, so there's 2 box sets. One is all G.I. Joe type volumes, and then the other one's all Cobra. I had to go for the Cobra one because, like, you know, I always love the villains in that series. So
not only was it the G.I. Joe and Transformer fan base that helped push that number, the marketing on that campaign was insane because every single social media platform
I didn't even know this existed.
There you go.
So I didn't know. This is how I'm first finding. This looks awesome.
Yeah, you looking at it? Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta read. I've been waiting for somebody to do this to like collect all of the Marvel stuff.
Wow, G.I. Joe and Cobra making you choose or who's winning.
Isn't that crazy? But they've done fun things like they let the backers choose which trading cards, which characters you want to see, and things like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. I don't usually gush about like huge campaigns like that, but I've been excited to get that. So
is it running through Kickstarter?
Yeah, and it's only been going like 5 days, I think, and it's
craziness.
So you got 25 days if you want that,
6
Johnny.
minutes.
And they're doing like some of the stretch goals, or they made the books better, like with like they put like a nice ribbon like bookmark in there, and they put like
that's cool.
You know, the golden page, you know, like when you look at the outside of a book, it has the golden sheer on the pages and stuff. Yeah. So cool. So cool. Can't wait to get that. Big fan.
Yeah. I might have to jump on that.
Dude, I'm
that
telling
really
you,
good.
I know. It's like when are you ever gonna see those collected like that ever again? You know?
I know.
It's a lot of money, but it's like when you break it down, it doesn't seem bad though. You know, because each of those volumes is what gotta be retail for $75, right? So 4 of those, that's almost 300, right? Or that is 300 right there, you know?
Easily. Yeah.
And then now you get the box, you get all the stretch goals.
I look at the IDW collected volumes and how expensive those were. And even if you're trying to buy them retroactively, some of them are like $500.
I hope
just for the one volume.
Next, because I want to have that whole run that Larry Hama did. I think great, you know. Plus the old school Marvel stuff, like
that's really cool
and everything. I can't wait to see it. So, but as we wrap up though, Vaughn, did you want to shout out some social media where people can find you?
Yeah, so I'm Vaughn Coleman on all socials. You could also find me at Rebel Oasis or Rebel Oasis Studios. I'm Vaughn M. Coleman on Twitter, Vaughn Coleman on all other socials. Find me on my YouTube channel. I interview a lot of creators myself. I create comic book related content and also a lot of gaming streams.
Cool.
So
what's your YouTube channel?
Just Vaughn Coleman. Decided to make it simple. So,
I'll take a look. If I'm not subscribed, I'll throw you a subscribe.
Thank you.
I would appreciate one on our channel.
I think I gave you one, but I will make sure.
Awesome. Appreciate it, brother. Love it. How about Johnny, Harry, anything you guys want to shout out before we start wrapping up?
Oh yeah,
Harry?
I'm just looking forward to next month, Plastic City, and I'm also going to be busy working on that illustration this week. So that
Nice.
threesome in bed with the motor vehicles in bed. So should be exciting stuff. I'll show it off when it's done. But
no, I'm glad you're getting some graphic artist work, man. That's awesome.
It's good, but not all at once. I like a little bit of like a break in between.
Yeah, you like a little drip and drab.
Yeah, right. Yeah. How about you guys?
Johnny, what do you got going on?
So
shout out?
Nothing in particular. I just want to take the moment to once again thank Vaughn for taking time out of his day to come on to the show.
Thank you
dude.
for having me.
Yep.
Dude, we greatly appreciate it and wanted to thank Aaron. I know he had to take off, but so happy to have Aaron on, show off his stuff. And yeah, I mean, I was glad to be back after some time off.
Yeah, right. Any campaigns you got to shout out or anything like that?
Nothing. I'm actually for once in a really long time, I don't have anything I'm backing right now.
Oh wow,
that's running currently. So I'm like, yeah. So I'm actually like, I'm a little dry. But also the thing is, I'm being a little conservative because I'm going into convention season. I have San Diego coming up. I have Terrificon coming up. I have New York coming up just after that. And when they start to go, it's almost like one right after the other. Even though there's some time in between, like each, it feels like it's one right after the other financially.
Yeah, it does.
So
it comes quick, comes up.
Yeah, I start to ramp up savings beforehand just to make sure, because you never know when you have an unforeseen that you have to shell out extra cash to fix a problem.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Amy says great art tonight. I can't agree more.
100%.
Awesome.
I love that Aaron was so blown away by that piece on Vaughn's campaign.
Yeah, it was a great
one. That was so awesome.
Yeah, man, that piece, I'm telling you, got me so many signups, and people in person were like, dude, that when you posted that, I like, so
it's an awesome image.
And it is Hawaiian
people excited like that.
It is Hawaiian shirt season too, so let's get those out.
You guys. Listen, we start with the mini print, small steps, baby steps.
Vaughn, feel free to steal that idea if you can find somebody that can do those Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah,
like that.
No, I'd love to, man.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. All right, everybody, we're gonna wrap this one up. I think we're back on schedule. Let me just check real quick before I.
What does that mean? Every week or every other week?
That means we're back on our bi-weekly, I believe. Wait a second.
Oh.
Let me check. No, actually, we're not. I lied. We're back live again Monday, and then we're back live the following Monday. Then after that, we're back on schedule. So you'll see us for the next 3 weeks in a row. So
nice.
All right. So, all right, everybody, have a great week. And most importantly, read some comics. We'll talk to you later, and we'll see you next Monday. Good night, everybody.
Peace out.